When we talk about photography, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Most of us think of snapshot, something spontaneous that quick to record the brief instance in life. However, I often wonder, why don't we capture all these moments and putting them into one place? In other words, what I'm attempting to do with my art is to compress the indeterminacy of time into an image. The idea of give time a physical form deeply fascinates me. That's to say, if time is a dancer, I would like to capture its complete dance move into a single frame. And what's a better media than photography? They give us the faithful evidence of how time exists in a form that is not normally visible to our eyes. The next question is, how can this be done exactly? For this, I favor long exposure photography, as it accounts many uncontrollable elements along the way. Instead of planning for every single detail, I chose not to control the outcome and leave it to chance. That's also why it could take hours, days, or sometimes even years to produce a single image in my practice. With chance and indeterminacy in play, every project comes with a surprise, be it pleasant or not. To better explain this, let me take you on a journey through some of my works. In general, we humans have two common states of awareness, conscious and unconsciousness. And how about the limbo state that's sandwiched between those two? Unconsciousness, consciousness is the first in series that explore this idea and also sets the tone for the rest of my works. I started by taking continuous shots of myself asleep while undressed, before extending the concept by inviting others to allow me to photograph them similarly. Now, imagine this. It's been a long day. You are about to go to rest, and you have switched off all the lights in the house. The image you are seeing now was taken in such a low light condition, despite their brightness. The camera captures every movement of the subject, struggles between conscious and unconsciousness overnight. The idea of being photographed naturally makes one self-conscious. What's more, they are being stripped of all clothing. Yet, they can't help to fall into an unconscious state as they get sleepy. Capturing the struggle between those two mental states is the heart of unconsciousness, consciousness. This is an unusual experience, which means it wasn't easy to find many willing subjects. Especially in Singapore, where most of us are more conservative, I have to ask everyone I met who even has the slightest chance of agreeing to participating in it. Colleagues, friends, or even new faces at a house party. Usually, after some chat and alcohol, then I will bring out the topic. By the way, I'm working on this art project that could use your help. You never know when's the right time and who is the right person, but it never hurt to just try. Out of all the people I've asked, what surprised me the most was my mother, who actually said yes to this project. While I always admire my mother's strength and her quality, I do not want to completely follow in her footsteps in life. As I grow older, sadly, I've also grown more distant from her, despite loving her at the same time. This is a rather complex feeling to navigate. Regardless, I invited my mother to spend the night together with bare skin and let the camera do the magic. Once the images were developed, I noticed in a state of unconscious, our body projects our honest and deepest thought towards each other. All the ups and downs of our relationship were reflected through changes in movement and distance between us throughout the night into the image. My mother always loved lily flower, and I always buy one for her, but never for myself, as it reminded me so much of her. This clip I'm sharing with you is a rather personal one for me, as it signifies my mother's mortality and also my fear of losing her eventually. In this installation, I hope to capture the process of what it's like of losing something dear to you in life. Life is unpredictable, yet only when we learn to embrace it, we can find the beauty in it. Similarly, the process of my creation is full of uncertainty. While I embrace and appreciate it, it's still important for me to set a control condition before allowing all the possibilities to take place. That's the way I want my experiment to be conducted. But it doesn't mean I want to control the outcome of it. I'm not looking for something predictable that conforms to our past experience and our biases. If anything, I'm looking for a new way of perceiving and broadening the horizon of one's thought. That's what I have done for Floating Rays of a Wanderer series. Here, I'm using bus as a vehicle to transport the camera around the city. At a bus stop, I randomly pick a passenger and following them on their journey. Then you'll capture the entire bus ride I share with the stranger on the same journey. While I can choose who to follow, I have no control over the weather of the day, the traffic, and also the duration of each bus ride. All these, when added up together, makes each image unique and unpredictable. Don't walk in front of me, I may not follow is a similar attempt of creating visual representation of the compression of time and space, but with a twist. Before telling you anything, I would like you to take a good look at this image. Can you tell which country or place that this image was taken from? Anybody wants to try? Come, give me some answer. It's actually Singapore. Now then you answer. The images were the landscape that formed by every step I took, with no specific destination in mind from the cat's eye level. Once you realize it's from an unfamiliar perspective, you'll start to notice things that you normally don't. A normal barrier collar will appear to be larger and taller than what you're used to from the angle, just like a skyscraper. The continuous movement will blur most of the subject along the way during the walk, which turns the wall into a giant dark room. Take a look at these two images. In Floating Rays of Wanderer, I travel further with the bus, yet everything seems clearer due to the difference in process. Those images look realistic, yet surreal at the same time, shedding new lights on something mundane. This drives me to constantly looking for a refreshing perspective. It's very helpful when it comes to photographing portraits. By chance, I was asked to photograph Colin Schooling, the father of Joseph Schooling, Singapore's Olympic gold medalist in swimming, for a cover story of a magazine. Then I was reminded by the essay 背影, written by a Chinese writer Zhu Ziqing, which can be translated as My Father's Back in English, where Zhu describes how a father shows his love through his actions. A father's back view evokes deep emotions, ingrained in our mind since childhood. Inspired by those connections, I suggest to photograph Mr. Schooling's back view against a swimming pool. The idea resonated well with the editors. Together, we managed to create this cover image that leaves a quiet yet powerful impressions on the viewers. Sometimes, I also like to subject people to an unusual situation. Take an example from the same shoot. I asked Mr. Schooling to get into the swimming pool while wearing his formal suit. And it's always fun if they agree to it. A portrait is not just about one's outer appearance. More importantly, it's about the essence of the subject. I believe a person's presence and their living environment also reveals their essence. For their 70th anniversary, Singapore's Alliance Francaise invited me to create exhibitions of 70 portraits made up of their students and members. Instead of a conventional portrait shoot, I chose to photograph them in their own house, showing their most natural state without any pretense. I asked them just be themselves. Do not organize the house and wear their comfiest outfit. By capturing them with long exposure in the dark, I get to explore the unspoken characteristic of each of the subjects. This also came as a refreshing experience for someone like Eunice Olsen, who are normally being requested to be picture perfect in front of the camera for a portrait shoot. Given the chance, she was very content and happy to just wear a t-shirt and short without makeup, simply seated next to her favorite piano. Another thing unusual about this series is the involvement of the photographer in the final image, as we are the one who normally stand behind the lens. The trail of the light embodies my presence as a photographer in the image. If you take a closer look, you could see my shadows in it. Do you need a hint? All in all, I hope those experiences can bring something different to the table. Because it's not just about achieving my personal goal in art, but also sharing the experience by creating it with others. I hope the subject can gain something new from the session by engaging them as an active part in the process. Then it becomes a shared memory. In return, it gives me fulfillment as an artist. My art practice taught me to appreciate the process. It's an opportunity to make myself pause and view my work repeatedly. The pause helps me to understand again of what I thought I've understood, but maybe not. I've been told many times my work looks profound and philosophical for them, but no philosopher, as I'm still finding what my work is telling me. Still, each of them is a step closer of creating something closer to my heart. As I continue to figure out what connects me to this world. Maybe when I'm in my 70s, I may have an answer to it. Thank you.